The Crash Course Podcast is brought to you in part by DerbyParts.com, Smashmasters, Derby Parts, and Derby Inc. magazine. Live it, breathe it, be it, Derby Inc. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquart.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the second go of the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast. I am Chris Marquart, flying solo at this point. We had a windstorm come through town, knocked out our internet service. We've got the internet back up now, so hopefully everything is up and running at this point. The problem, of course, is I've already turned loose my co-host, Josh Decker, who was with me all weekend long out there at the Blizzard Bash 2013, presented by Speedway Motors and O'Reilly Auto Parts. He has already headed back to Lisle, which is about 2 hours away. Brian Tompkins is with him. Brian is going down to Lisle to get my car, because my car was left down there on Thursday when we left at about 10:30 to begin the 18-hour drive out to Topeka, Kansas to take part in Ultimate Derby's Blizzard Bash 2013. So you've got me solo. This is probably a little bit awkward for all of us, but I'm glad that we were able to do it. I want to start out by saying thank you so much to the loyal fans. We were able to be part of the pay-per-view on Ustream all weekend long at Blizzard Bash, thanks to Sam Williams to help facilitate that, and he invited us out. So we were doing trackside analysis. I know Josh had so many great things to say. I'm going to try and take the parts and pieces that we got from the earlier broadcast when the internet was breaking up and we were having all these problems. I do hear Elaine on the line. We've got Elaine from Wood Booger Demolition Derbies going to be joining us here in just a moment. Elaine, just hold tight. I'm trying to do everything at one time. So we'll get to Elaine here momentarily. It's about 7:45 here local time. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby Podcast, Episode 8, Blizzard Bash recap with some more big news coming from Wood Booger Demolition Derbies about the Strictly Stock Northeast Championships out at the Brockton Fairgrounds. I want to get back to what I was talking about a moment ago. Josh and I had the opportunity to go out there and work on the pay-per-view. We did trackside analysis. We had the opportunity to meet some of the top names in Demolition Derby. We interviewed them. Ryan Sweat from Crash Course. We had the one and only Jimmy Johnson from Team Kansas. We had the opportunity to interview Mark Klein from Derby Tees, Sam Williams from Ultimate Derby. We had the chance to talk with Mike Brown, driver of the 69er, Team DMP, just about everybody from that team. We had such a great time out there, and we can't say thanks enough. You fans have been so supportive of the Demolition Derby community, and the Crash Course is not exempt for that. When we left, we had somewhere around 300 likes on our Facebook page. We have now eclipsed 1,100. Just in the last hour, in the midst of all the headaches and hassle that we were going through here with this internet outage, we picked up another 100 likes on the Facebook page. We can't say thank you enough. And there's so much other good Derby stuff going on in the nation. We got to see so much of it out there. The cars at Blizzard Bash were outstanding. The finish was remarkable. We had the chance to speak with Lance Pritchett after his qualifying event. Last year, there was some 2 years ago, rather, there were some driver door hits. They said that they weren't coming back. The E2 team did return this year, facing some of the steepest odds of anybody out there. Team Guard looked very clean, looked very fresh, looked like they were going to be in good shape. Also, Team DMP looked very good as well. Bad luck befell Team DMP. The front wheels fell off one of the cars. Another one looks like they made a twisted out of transmission. Team Guard ended up on the barriers across the board. And in questionable finish from the outside looking in, it was Team Light Blue, Bob Meyer from Minnesota, Lance Pritchett, Dustin Yaney, and Travis Enger picking up the team win worth $12,000. When you isolate the final few moments unto itself, it becomes very clear what happened. It was Dustin Yaney who was driven into the number 11 for the Camo team, and he was stuck in place. The red flag was flown because the 11 car had begun catching on fire. So they didn't want to put him in any additional distress or risk him. So they threw the red flag. The number 44 on the Camo team drove in, laid a heavy shot under the red flag, and it further stuck Yoni's car. So we had the number 44 of Jared Starr hitting him under the red flag. Officials decided to throw the 44 out. He understood, it was a red flag situation. He shouldn't have made the hit. He was very understanding about it, and with $12,000 on the line, they're thankful that he was understanding about it. So the 44 is out. That leaves two cars from the team blue and black. That's Lance Pritchett and Yoni. And then we've also got left out there the number 19 and of Greg King. King and Pritchett were nose to nose. Both of them backed up. King didn't have any steering. They brought an excavator out to pull Yoni out of the front of the 11 car because the impact from the 44 had got him so stuck. You couldn't tell yes or no. He was moving before he was hit, and now he was completely impaled on the 11 car. They got him loose, and ultimately the number 0 car of Yoni put 2 hits on the number 19. He was lining up for a third. He broke the stick off. The win goes to Team Light Blue and Black. We're going to get a little bit more information on Blizzard Bash with Sam Williams here in just a few minutes. But right now, we're going to change gears. We went from the extreme builds of those Crown Vics and those 80s class cars that we saw out there at Blizzard Bash. And now we're going to transition that to the Northeast Championships, which is a strictly stock show right there at the Brockton Fairgrounds in Brockton, Massachusetts. Joining us on the line with Wood Booger Demolition Derby's Eileen Mann. Eileen, welcome to the program.
Chris, I have Jim here with me too.
Good. So we've got Jim here as well. Great. We've got the head Wood Boogers who have put all this together, and they've got some big announcements coming from out of their home base in Taunton, Massachusetts. The Brockton Fair Northeast Championships will be paying $7,500 to win next year. Guys, tell us a little bit about how all that came about, and then after that, tell us a little bit about what it's like to oversee one of the toughest features to qualify for in the Northeast.
So we've finally bumped it up to $7,500 to win. It's basically a stock show. We've changed the rules around a little bit this year. We're allowing you to weld bumpers on and a few other things. But I don't know. Here you go, Arlene. Take over.
We have new sponsors this year as well, and that's why we were able to bump up the prize money. And we're hoping that next year we're going to be even adding on a little bit more and increase the prize money from there.
Where do you go from here? I mean, this has been incredible to watch the progression of this show. You know, last year we were able to pay $5,000 to the winner. Another one of the unique twists of this is once you are a feature winner and you earn the title of Northeast Champion, you're a lifetime entrant directly into the feature. You no longer have to go through any of the qualifying events. You've got a couple repeat winners of this event now. It's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you're able to pay $7,500 to win this year. What is your end game? What do you hope to attain next year?
We hope next year to be paying $10,000 and to have it be a true Northeast Championship where we have drivers coming from Pennsylvania, from New York, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island. We want all of the Northeast. We want it. We want all of the drivers to come out here. We want everyone to come and see how we play here up in Massachusetts. And it's an easy show. It's a very easy show to build a car for. And we have great fun, and all of our drivers have great fun, and we hope to invite everyone out to come and join us.
It is a very easy car to build. It is not an easy feature to qualify for. You're allowed now, you can do a bumper swap on it, and you can put an inch of weld on the bumper shock to keep it in place. All the doors are chained shut, except for with the exception being the driver's door, where you can put about 12 inches of weld on each of the seams. And that pretty much does what you can do. You can swap engines make to make. So if it's a Ford, it has to have a Ford motor in it. If you want to convert it over to being carbureted and get the Crown Vic injected motor out of there, you can do that. But this show is very strictly stock. With the GMs, you can get them to help them a little bit to start to roll and do a little bit of dimpling. But in terms of all this line hardening, these engine cradles, the trick equipment that you can put on the floor in terms of helping stiffen that, the gas tank protectors, those exotic cages and the rollover bars, you guys don't allow that out there, and that is what is keeping the strictly stock show going, and it's making it an available show for your local drivers.
That's exactly why we do it. We want the new guy to come in and have as much of a chance as the 20-year driver that's, driven all over the country and done all the crazy shows and seen all of the tricks. We want to be able to have Joe Schmo come off the street, strip the glass out. You can weld the rear end. You can put a shifter in. You can move your gas tank. You can move your battery. Any tires fly. We don't care what the tires are. And go out there and have a great time. You don't have to use miles and miles of welding wire to show that you can do it. And you can qualify for the feature.
Tell us how hard it is to qualify, because it's not strictly Demolition Derby. So this year it's going to be the last Friday and Saturday of June, and then the 4th, 5th, and 6th, the Friday of July 4th, then the 5th and the 6th, the championship being planned for that Sunday afternoon. It's it's a very difficult event to qualify for because it's not just derbies, as I was saying. You've got redneck racing, you've got blindfold races, you've got flagpole races, you've got barrier races, and all these different dynamics and expertises and special skill sets are used in doing this, and it eventually feeds everything into the fresh car 30-car feature that's scheduled for that Sunday.
That's right. We'll be starting out, and we'll also be having the first 2 nights of the Derby this year are going to be, they do not have to be 80s and up. You can use an old car, no Imperials, no hearses, same old as every other Derby. Same rules as we have to build all of the other cars. We'll also have a truck and SUV Derby both of those nights, and they'll all qualify to go to the feature. On the 4th of July, we have a separate event where we have heat races that will qualify you for a feature that night. It's $1,000 to win on the 4th of July, and the top 4 drivers of that feature will qualify for the Northeast Championship. So you can come and play on the 4th of July and try to win $1,000 right then and there, and then you're guaranteed a spot for the feature on July 6th. You can't beat that. It's an extra $1,000 if you go out and you win that, and you show up with a fresh car on the 6th, and you have a chance to win $7,500. I'm thinking that's a pretty good payday.
That's an excellent payday, no doubt. I know Josh. If Josh was here, he was just salivating over this show. His intention is to go early and get qualified Friday or Saturday, then spend the week building his feature car, and come back and run on Sunday. I love the move of letting any car run the early part of the week, adding the addition of the trucks and SUVs. That's been a fairly well-supported class out there for you guys, and that's a real good move, too. The other thing that I think is absolutely fantastic about what you guys are doing out there, not only do you guys have a scrapper on site that's paying just about full scrap price for anything that's junk. Being a stock show, there's going to be a lot of carnage, a lot of twisted metal. The cars are going to be obliterated. Been there before, seen it myself. It's a fact. There's a lot of junk there, and there's no need to bring any of it home. So basically, take your tires off, keep what you want to keep out of the car. The rest of it you can sell for scrap there on site. On the other side of that, there's fresh cars there. There are fresh cars there with the glass in them. And if you have something silly happen, if something dumb happens, or if you just want to get out there and run again, these cars are essentially available for rent, if you will. You can buy it for $100. You strip it there on site. If you brought the extra stuff to build the car, you can build the car how you need to in terms of chaining it and things like that. If not, you can bring a sheetrock knife or a razor blade or something and cut up the seatbelts and use that to hold the car closed, and you can go out there and run it. Chris Brogan, driver from Avon, he's competed in Cuba. He's competed all over. He's been at Caledonia, Batavia. He went out there, bought a Saturn, had it stripped in about an hour and a half, and he went out there and did very, very well with it in the 4-cylinder event at the Fall Brawl, presented by Wood Booger Demolition Derby. So how did that whole program come about, and how well has that been received? I mean, you guys are doing a lot for those drivers who are new to the sport and might not have the experience level, but still giving them an opportunity to go in and participate without a major investment.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. Last year at the Brockton Fair alone, we had one company come in and purchase 10 cars that we had, sitting there ready just to be stripped out, because that's what he likes. He likes to do fun things for his guys. So he came and they stripped all the cars right there. Out of the 10 guys, 5 of them made it to the feature, never drove before in their life. Stripped cars out right there. Nothing was welded. Nothing was changed over. Stock cars went out, drove their asses off, had a great time, and made it into the feature. So the opportunity to be able to do that and just show up and strip a car and get in it and have a great time is unbelievable. We also offer a raffle car where we sell raffle tickets and have a car there built, Wood Booger built, and get out there, and someone from the audience, someone from the pit, wherever, wins an opportunity to drive in the race. And there have been quite a few times where not only has that person made it to the feature, but they've also done very, very, very well in the feature with that same car.
That's excellent. I mean, how could you go wrong? And any opportunity that you can give an entry-level driver, a new driver, first-time driver, a sense that they have an opportunity to win, a chance to do well, a chance to feel as though they're going to have an opportunity to compete, you're going to light that Derby fire in them that we need to see in so many of these young drivers that are just starting to get into the sport. That's so important in keeping the sport going. Without that, we are going to see the realization of everything that all the naysayers were saying here, maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, how Derby's tapering off. Just because the experienced drivers are getting older and they're starting to retire and back away from it doesn't mean that the sport is doomed. And by doing what you guys are doing out there with this stock format, keeping it new, keeping it affordable, and keeping it tailored toward the entry-level driver who's just out there to have a good time, you guys are doing a really good service for your area. And as you build it more, that $7,500 payday or that $10,000 payday is going to get, it's really, as Josh said earlier tonight when we were trying to do this the first time when the internet went down, it's going to get the attention of everybody in the Northeast, and you guys are going to accomplish what you want to in that. You're going to have New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, all the New England states, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. You're going to have those states represented in your field.
We invite everybody to come from all over the country. I mean, we have places to put people if they need a place to sleep. You can bring your truck, your trailer, your camper. We can hook you up at the fairgrounds with a place to sleep if you want to come out. Hell, we have, floor space here at the house. We'll be happy to have anybody. One of the that I've learned over the past years of us doing the Brockton Fair, the camaraderie of the drivers, the way that people come together. You might not know the guy behind you in line, but you need something and he has it and he lets you borrow it. So now you've become buddies. Now you're teammates out there. Now you're working together. We had 2 people a couple years ago. One guy needed a rear end. The other guy had it at his yard. Never knew each other before, introduced them to each other, and now they're great friends.
That's awesome.
Just what out here is just unbelievable. I think the fact that Jim and I have, 35 years of demolition derby experience between the two of us, let alone the rest of the officials that we have, the amount of experience, the amount of time we've put in, the places we've been, the people we've met all over the country, in Canada, it's just been amazing, and it's such a family and such a great experience out here. We all help each other. We're all in it for the fun of it. We're all in it. No one's out to screw anybody. We all want to see everybody win. We're all rooting for everybody to win out there, during the heat and during the feature. We want everybody to win. It's great.
And it's very true. You do just as much jumping and cheering as the fans do in the grandstands.
I always do, especially.
It is a great time going out there. www.woodbooger-demolition-derby.com is where you can find them. The rules are up there. The rules update was released today, so that all that information is up there. I know you guys are planning on coming out to the Derby party. The annual Derby party is again going to be held February 15th at the Owego Treadway Inn, right there in downtown Owego. It's a great time. You'll have the opportunity to come out there and you'll be able to meet the Mann family and everybody that's close with Wood Boogers. I know Steve Bucknam with SB Motorsports Announcing, who does all of the Wood Booger announcing, does a crack-up job. He also helps us out here on Crash Course and monitors the live chat, and we can't say thanks enough to him. He'll be down there. A number of the drivers from up there, I know there's been discussion maybe Tom Woodbury is going to make the drive down. Al Crockett is another one. We're hoping to see those guys and really start making this Northeast Derby party truly a Northeast Derby party, and everybody from New England, they got to get down here.
Right. They all need to come out. We go to Cuba every year. Cuba is one of our favorite shows to go to, and we love to go out there, and we take the trip, and, we stay out there and spend the weekend and have a great time, and we invite everybody to come and do the same. It's really not that far. And like I said, you can get whatever you need here. One of our biggest sponsors is the junkyard. So what more could you ask for? And if you need something here, somebody's got it for you, and we're always willing to help. We personally, Jim and I, are always willing to help out with whatever the drivers need to help make them successful.
Well, we can't thank you enough. Again, on online, www.woodburger-demolition-derby.com. Let me try that again. www.woodburger-demolition-derby.com. It was great catching up with you again for the second time tonight, and we were able to rebound from some of the adversity that we faced with the windstorm coming through and knocking out our internet. We've got everything back up and running. So glad that you were gracious enough to spend a little bit more time of your night on here talking about the stuff that we've already gone over, and I know I look forward to getting out there. I can't wait. We're going to be out there for Friday and Saturday. Come home, regroup for that week, and then be back out there again Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as part of the Northeast Championships. Are you doing anything in the spring, or is that schedule that off the schedule at this point?
Right now it's off the schedule at this point. We're talking to the fairgrounds about it, but, we'll see what happens as time goes along. The fair is set in stone, but we're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen in the spring, if we can kick up something else to go along with it and help us out a little bit, maybe a car show or a carnival or something like that. But nothing set in stone at this moment. All
right. Well, be sure to keep us posted. We look forward to catching up with you. Also, Steve Bucknam is going to have a feature on Wood Booger Demolition Derbies in the December issue of Derby Inc. magazine. Make sure you get a hold of Derby Inc. magazine. They are on Facebook. And you can read up a little bit more on the Mann family. I believe you guys met at a demolition derby, and it was a love at first sight.
Yes, it was. It's been 17 years. We met at Brockton Fair the very first time I ever drove, and went on our first date there. And every year we consider the Brockton Fair to be our anniversary. Even though we got married in April, Brockton Fair is still our anniversary, and it's such a special place. And to be able to have come now all this time, all this many years later, and I personally never won Brockton Fair, and it breaks my heart that I will never get to drive at Brockton Fair and win the championship. But I honestly feel that I'm on top of the world as far as that goes, because I don't need to win it. I've already won it. I have the show. I put the show on with Jim. We do an unbelievable job. The planning and everything that goes into it is just amazing. Having you there, having Steve Bucknam there, has made it just full circle. Just complete now. And
the trophy that you get when you win the Wood Booger Championship is a 6 foot tall, handmade wooden trophy that Jim makes himself. It's unique, year in and year out. It's a specialized design. It's a one-off, one time only, and only one person in the world is going to have that trophy, dated 2014, come next July 6th.
That's right. Absolutely. It's beautiful. He does such a nice job with it. We all help out with it too.
Well, we sure appreciate you taking some time out here tonight, and we look forward to when our paths can cross, and really looking forward to February, unless we can catch up with you beforehand. And if any more big announcements come, please be sure to let us know so we can get you back on here, and we'll talk about it here on the Crash Course.
All right, thanks, Chris. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Elaine. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.
Bye.
And her name is Eileen. I do that every time I talk to her. I know her name isn't Elaine, yet I still continue to call her that. I apologize. It has been a remarkably long week. We left New York on around 10:30 on Thursday. We drove 18 hours across the country to Topeka to take part in Blizzard Bash 2013, presented by Speedway Motors and O'Reilly Auto Parts with Sam Williams. We were invited out there. We did a morning show called Blizzard Forecast on the pay-per-view with Ustream. Got to interview a whole bunch of different drivers as we went through qualifying round 1 on Friday. Then we did a quick post-race show. Then we did a quick Finger Lakes 1 exclusive podcast for the Crash Course Live. Saturday, we were back again. We did a half-hour morning show for Finger Lakes 1, an hour-long Blizzard Forecast before the morning session. And then we went through round 2 of team qualifying, and we went through the standard compacts heat, which was won by Scott Mulder. He's from Iowa. Did another short post-race show. Came back again. Did a short morning show for Finger Lakes 1. Did a short, did about a half hour or so pre-race show for the evening program, a packed evening program. And as we went through, and saw the 80s consolation event, which was ultimately won by Gary Russell, who came through the consolation round to win that. What a great event that was. It was a ball. And then we had the final round for the team derbies. We did all of that and just had the opportunity to interview so many great people. Mark Klein, Mike Brown, Jimmy Johnson. We had Ryan Sweat from Kings of Crash. It was just such an incredible experience to be out there. Bobby Brockway was on the program. I know there's people that were missing. Chad from Team DMP was on. We had a couple of guys from the Camo team who eventually finished second overall in the team feature on Sunday afternoon. So after we got done with the 80s program, we finished up with an evening recap. It was somewhere around midnight local time in Kansas. It was 1 o'clock out here, a little bit after. Sunday's program kicked off at 2 o'clock. We had Clint Hoy win the Modified Compact show. The no-weld, Creighton DeMuth won. He was out of Nebraska. What a show in that no-weld division. That's probably the closest to the cars that we see here at home in terms of comparison. A lot of the cars out there are very extreme, very, very extreme. It was a lot of fun to see and be around those cars, and I know Josh Decker, one of my co-hosts, and Ben Host, who made the trip out with us since Brian had to work. He wasn't able to get off of that time, so it opened the door. Ben stepped in. Ben did a great job on the microphone. He really helped us out a ton out there. We kept joking around that he was our roadie at first because he really didn't want to come on the microphone. He was just helping carry boxes around, but he warmed up to it, and he offered some great analysis because that is more his build style. Josh is much more Mopar focused, much more stock focused, much more simple build focused. Ben is all about that heavy stuff that they have Ohio in all points westward. So it was nice to have him on hand to tell us a little bit more about it. A couple of winners that we didn't want to forget. The ladies winner, Erica Kimmy Phillips, driving the number 10. She came up with a win in the ladies division. Derek Cleveland won a half-hour-long youth division feature over the number 30 of Mason Larson. Derek Cleveland is from South Dakota. And in that 80s feature, like we said, it was... I blanked on it there. It was the number 28 of Gary Russell picking up the win as he qualified in from the consolation round. And second place was Dawson Dittmer in the Z car. Kyle Pudwitter in the number 7. What a great job. I mean, these stock cars, they were crazy. These 80 cars. It looked like the Pudwitter car. The whole side of his car was shredded like by the can opener. And the way that the bars are designed, and we talked a little about some of the technology you can see in Vendors Row when we did this morning program, or the first shot at this when the internet went out. You know, you can get a gas tank mount that is formed the same way as the floor of a Crown Victoria. It angles up in the front, so it pushes against your firewall, helps keep your floor down. It uses the existing seat bolts to mount in place. You've got your transmission cooler and your battery box right there on the floor next to you in the specially made thing. Similarly, on the other side, you extend the floor bolt. You weld that to the front of your inserted floor mount. Gas pedal, brake pedal, clutch pedal. Some of those guys out there were running 3 speeds. Some of those guys were running 5 speeds, so they did have a clutch pedal in addition to their brake. Another instance where that's helping keep the floor down and making the corners real solid on the floors and where it meets the frame in some of those crush box areas. So some fantastic builds, quality all the way around. We're going to try, if you'll forgive me for a moment for stepping away, I'm going to try and get Sam Williams from Ultimate Derby on the line one more time. We had talked with him a little bit earlier, and we're going to get him on again. And as he's graciously also giving up a little bit more of his evening so that we can talk with him about Blizzard Bash 2013. Getting Sam on the phone right now. No, we are not. We're going to try that one more time. Try that again. We got one. It's a lot harder to do this when no one else is here. Like I said, Josh and everybody, we had the internet failure, and we didn't think we were going to be able to get this on. The internet came back, and I couldn't get a hold of those guys for them to come back. I'd already turned them loose and said, you know, we'll kind of take this for what it is, and you know, we tried to work forward through it, and we'll see what we can do. See if we can't get Sam Williams back here on the line. Try that number one more time. Trying to get Sam Williams from Ultimate Derby, the promoter of Blizzard Bash, on the line. Like I said, we had him a little bit earlier. You know, it was a really, really impressive show. It was great to see everything front to back. Outstanding show. We had a ball with that pay-per-view stuff, and we got to say thank you again to you fans who've come out and supported us in full with everything that we've seen. Looks like we got Sam on the line, so let me put Sam in so we can all hear. So we can all hear what the great Sam Williams has to say about Blizzard Bash 2013. What a great show, Sam. Thanks a lot for having us out there. Thanks a lot for spending a little bit more time with us tonight as we try and rebound from an internet outage. And we tried to redo this so that we can do some due diligence and give you the exposure that you so kindly, return the favor that you so kindly gave to us and letting us be part of your show out there in Topeka.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm glad you guys came out. We're got everything home and back up, and my son and I just actually were sitting down to watch the pay-per-view. So we went in and bought it tonight, and we're going to sit down and watch it and see how we did and critique ourselves, I guess.
But You're going to be investing some time in it. What a great time that pay-per-view was. There were so many good comments coming in from far and wide. I know out here at home for us, we had several different groups of drivers, teams that run together. They treated it like it was a UFC fight or a boxing match or anything along those lines. They ordered the pay-per-view, got all their friends together. They sat on the TV and they watched the Derby in full. And so quickly after seeing the first round of qualifying heats and so quickly after seeing the morning program on Saturday, on Junkin' for Jewel Saturday, they started making Facebook fodder. We're going to build a car. We're going to go out there. And it caught on like wildfire. And we've all been able to share in this together, and it has been such a great and positive experience. There was so much talk that Derby was headed down this bad path and that it was going downhill and you can't find cars and it's just this doom and gloom thing. There's a very distinct split between the guys that want to build extreme and want to build stock, but the guys that want to build extreme, they were there at Ultimate Derby's Blizzard Bash 2013.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen a lot of hard cars this weekend in every class. Even in the no weld. The gentleman who won the no weld, Creighton DeMuth, I'm gonna say he probably has pushing $10 grand in that car. And so it's there's a lot of great cars that we've seen this weekend, and it's the best of the best. I know there's some great demolition derbies out there. Bash for Cash, where you guys are out there. There's even great derbies in New York, Metal Mayhem, all those. But man, just the level of competition indoors in a controlled environment. It's what makes it so much fun. And it's the atmosphere, the video boards, you guys, the podcast. It's so many more things we can do because we control so much of the environment, whether it's the texture of the dirt when it comes in, how wet the dirt is. There's just so many different aspects we get to control of that.
That track was perfect, by the way. I mean, that track was so hard and so fast that those guys that were running the skid steer tires, the really hard, heavy skid steer tires, they were smoking their tires on the surface, and the build quality was just mind blowing. Those guys could get those cars moving so quickly. They sounded like dragsters, and having it in the arena, it's so loud. I mean, you're in the midways out there working at the concession stands, and the whole building is just shaking because these cars have so much horsepower. They're burping so much power out those stacks, and they are so fast. And there's so many different dynamics when you watch the team derby, the different strategies, and then walking through the pits, the different build styles. Some of the guys put their kickers higher, they put their engines higher, they put their cradles higher, a little bit lower, different things with the bars. Your rules leave room for ingenuity. At the same time, they're very strict. A couple of cars got trailered because you're not allowed to do anything to the frame. 6 hammer strikes, and one car gets put on the trailer. You guys have that.
We have two great cars in work. I mean, these guys are just fantastic builders. They've run a lot of our shows, and they are by no means anybody who would ever cheat or do anything like that. They build very, very good stuff, and it was purely a frame that they had worked on in the past for previous years when frame shaping was more allowed, and just completely spaced off the fact that they hit the inside of the frame there 5 or 6 times with a hammer. And the rules specifically say that you cannot hit the frame with a hammer. I know there may be other derbies out there, there may be other promoters out there that may have worked with them, but we just don't. If the rule says you can't do it, there's no way we can fix it. We just load the trailer, or if there's hidden metal that's cheated, we load the car on the trailer. But these, the 2 guys we loaded off one team, great builders, and all they did is merely hit the frame rail 5 or 6 times with a hammer. That's it.
We talked about how much competition, how hard the hits were. Everybody was hitting hard. They were knocking the wheels off the power wheels. They were breaking axles in the lawnmower division. The ladies' heat was heavy, hard hitting. The youth division heat lasted a half hour. How rewarding is it when you see that caliber of driver, that diverse group of experience levels, all coming together, going at it, and making absolute junk of everything that's on the track?
Well, it's definitely rewarding, but it's a standard that we set 4 years ago. And what we did is we told them, if we're going to spend this much on a facility, we're going to pay this much prize money. We paid out nearly $50,000 in prize money. So if we're going to pay out that kind of prize money and everything else that we're doing, we're going to expect you to hit hard. I mean, and that's what we've done. And we give them one warning, and if they continue to not hit hard, we'll just break their stick and send them home. And the big thing is I had a gentleman who got his stick broke last year, and he's for not hitting. He said, it was the most embarrassing thing. He goes, well, my friend said, man, you come to a show this big, you don't want to hit anybody? He goes, man, this year I'm holding on the floor. And it's the standard and the pressure there is to, man, even the 80s cars, the youth cars, these guys are going, man, I'm driving in front of superstars, whether it's Troy Tagg, Josh Decker, even C.J. Barnes, all the guys who were driving, Jimmy Johnson, German Guard. I mean, you could keep going, Bobby Brockway, on and on. I mean, there's just superstars everywhere. Every team had superstars on it. And, I mean, these younger guys are going, man, I don't want to look bad in front of them. I'm going to drive this thing as hard as I can. And you know what? I'm going to say I drove on the same track they did.
Yeah, and lest anyone misunderstand what a youth division is out there, it is cars that are basically built to the same class as the team cars, same build specs as the team cars and as the 80s cars. These are full-size cars. Around here at home, our youth division they're 4- and 6-cylinder cars that are chain shut, maybe a little bit of weld on the driver's door. They are the ultimate Derby experience. Really is the ultimate Derby. It is a Derby party. There's stuff going on after the show concludes. Everybody likes to hang out and have a good time afterwards. And when it comes down to business, all that friendship and camaraderie goes out the window because there's $12,000 waiting on the other end of that for the team feature. The team feature was outstanding. It left a major impression on Josh and myself and Ben, who unfortunately couldn't be here. Brian and Josh have already left. We had that internet issue earlier. We got it back at a point to where I could at least get this thing back up and going, and we want to at least share that with you. Tell us a little bit, Sam, if you would, about how the feature went from your perspective.
The feature went really, really well. We had a couple. My biggest thing is I never want my officials or myself to judge the outcome of the show or affect the outcome of the show, and we did that a little bit on this event. And and I know you guys have explained. It just did a fantastic job explaining what happened on the podcast. And that's, I mean, from our point of view, the number 44 camouflage car, Jared Starr is one of the best drivers in the country. Just a phenomenal old iron Buick, and car was in fantastic shape, running perfectly, and he just purely did not see us trying to get him stopped. And we had, everything on in the building. In our opinion, the first hit he made would have been fine when he backed up clear across the track and dove in on another car who was hung up. The second time on the red flag, same red flag, that was a problem. So that's why we broke his stick. We ended up pulling Dustin Yanni apart. The reason we pulled Yanni off there was for the fact that, he was moving fine before the red flag. He was hung up, but he was moving. He was backing out. He was pulling the other car back and forward. After Jared made the 2 hits in the rear tires and packed all the sheet metal into his tires, he no longer could back up. And we just felt that based on the illegal hits, it wasn't fair to leave him in there, packed in there. So that's why we unhooked him. Yes, I know it did affect the outcome of the show, but we tried to make it as fair as we could.
And I agree with the call. I mean, you don't want a show of this caliber to end on a technicality. You don't want it to end on a 60-second shot clock. The other 2 drivers that were over there, Lance Pritchett and the number 19N of Greg King, they had a bit of a derby going on their own, and I really believe that Yanni was going to get unhooked. It looked like he was well on his way to getting off the number 11 before the 11 caught on fire, and it was under that red flag during the fire that the number 44 put the hit on. And there's no shortage of indication that there's a red flag. This event takes inside the Kansas Expo Center. It's in Topeka, Kansas. It's a hockey arena. And all those banners, the electronic banners that separate the lower and upper levels in every hockey arena in the United States are flashing strobe lights red. And there's a horn sounding. If you get dialed into that moment and you get absorbed into chasing that final prize. And sometimes it makes you make mistakes. And what we said all week long was it only takes one mistake to change a complex. When we were talking about that, we were talking about damage inflicted because the cars were so hard. You could put on the barrier, or it could result in your car's complete destruction. This was something that was a mental error. And he didn't do anything wrong. I don't think it was anything intentional, but it was still a mistake, and it was the right call to make on the track.
And, that's, it's one of those deals of they got very focused on the win, which is great. I love how focused that team is. And that camouflage team is got some of the best team strategies. They drove great as a team, as you've seen, obviously. They were handling that feature very, very well. And there's just a little bit too much focus and, just not paying attention to your surroundings. And, like I said, I know Jared very well. In fact, when he got out of the car, he never yelled at me. He never hollered. All he said is, "I'm sorry. I didn't see it." I said, "Well, you don't need to apologize. It's understandable, but I had to make the call." And he goes, "Man, all I'm saying is I'm sorry." And so just stand up, guys. I had in the B feature, I had a car lose brakes coming in on a shot. His brake pedal actually broke on the way in the shot.
Wow.
And that's the one that hits Jimmy Johnson square in the door. I mean, hit him square.
That was a hard shot, too.
Sam, I'm sorry. Sorry, I lost brakes. Nothing I can do about it. And I broke his stick, and there was very few driver's doors that we broke, but this one was just so blatant. And he said, man, I'm sorry. I said, no problem. It is what it is. And Jimmy Johnson, being just a great competitor, said, Sam, tape his stick back on. It's no big deal. So we taped his stick back on, and we allowed him to run. So, just great competition. These guys respect each other so much. And, I mean, they're respectful to us. We never fought them in inspection. Even the cars we loaded. They said, no problem. We'll put them on the trailer. Sorry we did it to you.
Right.
And just great guys.
Modified Compacts won by Clint Hoy. He's from Iowa. The No-Weld Championship went to Creighton DeMuth from Nebraska. Travis Bowden, also from Nebraska, in car number 47. What a great feature that was. That No-Weld division was outstanding.
Yeah, it was insane. We got down, and these guys drove so hard throughout the whole thing. And, it came down to two guys who are both from Nebraska, both know each other very, very well. They compete against each other at county fairs all summer long. Very accomplished drivers, and both of them drive to win, period. I mean, they're both just great drivers who drive to win. And they got rubbing paint a little bit for a couple minutes, and I did not want to allow them to get started at this event. I went out and told them, here's the deal, guys. If you don't want to hit each other, it's no big deal. We're just going to call it the next 30 seconds. We'll split first and second place. It's not a big deal. I'm not mad at you. It's just what we're going to do. And I'm telling you what, those two decided to kick it on, and Creighton ended up winning it and making. I mean, they took 3-4 head-on shots. Took Buicks that were, stood up 3-4 inches and stood them up 3-4 feet. And the guy in Travis's Ford was just destroyed. And so these guys, they did what we asked them to do. Not only did Creighton won first place at $1,500, Travis was supposed to win $750 per second. We went ahead and paid him $1,000 for driving so hard.
Wow, that was a great reward for Travis. He really did a great job. I couldn't believe that thing fired back up when it did once he was packed along that front wall. Pro Mod winner Matt Wangerow from Colorado outlasted Jack Teagerton, the builder of the Enforcer from Things of Legend. It was great to see him back out there in the 104, and Wangerow in a car that was significantly lighter by, you said, as much as 2 tons, 4,000 pounds lighter than everybody else out there on the track. That kind of worked to his advantage. He was able to get around there a little bit easier, and it turned into a win for him in the Pro Mod division.
Absolutely. If he would have honestly taken one shot wrong in that car, they would have completely driven through his car. In fact, we were worried about his driver's safety before we ever started the event. I took Matt around to look at the other cars, and I said, are you sure you want to do this? And he goes, I have a philosophy. I think I can outrun him, make smart hits, and what's great is he didn't run in circles. He just made great hits and never got off the throttle. And so he did what he had to do, and, it's like running a Ford Crown Vic against Old Iron. If you're doing all the hitting, you're going to probably do all right. The minute you start getting beat on, it's going to go pretty bad pretty fast, and that was Matt's philosophy, and it worked for him.
It was pretty impressive when those Pro Mods were out there. A couple of them got up on the berms, and we saw cars bouncing off the berms, and those berms were packed so hard that they were Jersey barriers. When the modified cars got the Pro Mods, the 88 car got on one of them and took the berm down halfway. It just sunk through the dirt like you wouldn't believe, and it took a couple excavators to get him out of there, in addition to him refiring and putting in drive and help drive himself out as well. All in all, Blizzard Bash was an excellent adventure for us. We appreciate being able to be part of it. Thanks so much to you for making time with us early in the season, the week of the show, and now twice tonight. If there's anything else that you want to mention or anybody else that you want to thank or promote before we let you go for the evening, by all means, you got the mic.
Well, what was great was, we sat down with the Expo Center today, signed all the contracts for next year, signed all the contracts for the hotel for next year, so mark this same weekend on your calendar next year. Blizzard Bash 2014 will be there. But what I thought was just great was we didn't know how the podcast was going to go because we'd never done anything like this before. And we knew that we had a missing element in the dead time between heats. Mm-hmm. We didn't know what to fill it with. And that was the arena's biggest concern of doing pay-per-view is how do we have a production between heats? And when I got talking to Chris, and maybe you guys could come out and we could try something, throw a little bit here, throw a little bit there, see how it works out. Oh, my gosh, it was a natural fit. And I mean, that's the one thing that the Expo Center said today, and HR, the general manager, said. He goes, one of the best changes you made. Yep, we added 100 cars, a lot more crowd, everything was great. But one of the best things we did was bring in the podcast guys for the fact that they just brought the production element of this show on the pay-per-view side. So, Chris, thank you guys so much for coming out. You've made our show way better, and I mean we're ready to rock and roll next year. So I just can't thank my crew enough. I mean, Melissa with all the videos, all the crew, everybody worked their tails off. I know you guys are exhausted, everybody's tired, but thank you so much for everybody that made it happen.
Well, I mean, we got a lot of feedback from the fans as well. The funnest part, the most fun part for us is we had all the folks at home that were sitting around watching. They have our text messages, and some of the folks even brought up on one part of their screen the pay-per-view, and the other part of their screen the live chat room that we use on a regular basis during our podcast.
That's awesome.
They can still get in there. So they're talking to each other. They're talking back and forth. And Steve Bucknam with SB Motorsports announcing, who always monitors a live chat, he was not going to miss a minute of Blizzard Bash. Once he found out everything it was going on and he wasn't going to be able to make it out there himself, he wasn't going to miss a minute. So he bought into that. He was in the live chat, relaying to us through Facebook and through social media, through text messages, some of the things that were being talked about. So we were able to essentially carry on a conversation with different fans. We had a fan listening from Hawaii on that pay-per-view. We had a fan listening from Iowa. We had interaction with folks from Arkansas, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, complete strangers that we didn't know. And that interactive element completely changed the dynamic for us. It's one of the things that we love most about our podcast and what we're able to do here. But to be able to take that on the road and sort of everybody kind of band together to make this happen and become bigger than what it was even imagined to be was really special to be part of. And it's something that we hold very close to our hearts, and we really, really appreciate the opportunity, and we're definitely looking forward to 2014.
You know, that's what we do is we team up with people. We've spent tons and tons of money trying to take this sport to the next level. And, I mean, that's our – I mean, you've seen it on the back of every one of our officials' hats. It says, you know, our goal is we're taking this sport of demolition derby to the next level and giving you the ultimate derby experience. And that's what we're after. And we're teaming up with people just like you guys and your guys selves that are just absolutely taking this sport to the next level. And that's I can't thank you guys enough for what you're doing for this sport. We've had CMT, we've had all these different TV channels come to us and say, hey, we want to do reality TV with you, but we're going to make you look like rednecks. That's not what we're after. I want everybody to know we had Sports Illustrated there all weekend long, and all I did was hammered on them and tried to show them every professional aspect of this sport. Mm-hmm. Yep, we all like to have fun. Yep, we all like to party. We all do those things. But when it comes to building and it's time to get serious, there's no more serious people than the Derby drivers who are sitting in those cars. And I promise you there's no more blood, sweat, and tears invested in anything else that's out there than what you've seen this weekend. The guys they did phenomenal, and you guys are doing awesome, and everybody's just trying to take this sport to the next level so it doesn't go away.
Well, that's what we're certainly trying to do, and once again, Sam, we appreciate the opportunities here, and we're looking forward to next year. I know you got a lot of footage that you got to go watch, that you want to go watch that pay-per-view. We'll let you go. I really appreciate you coming back on the program for a second time tonight, and next time you got a big announcement, let us know, and keep in touch, because we'd like to keep this thing going.
Absolutely, man. We can't look forward to it, and we're definitely going to get behind you guys in a big way, and just keep growing all of this together. So thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Take care now.
You too. Bye.
Bye. There goes Sam Williams, promoter of Blizzard Bash 2013, confirming that the Blizzard Bash will be back at the Topeka Expo Center in 2014 as well. I missed a caller here a minute ago, but I was able to get their number before my phone shut off because my battery's dead. It's been on all day ever since we left Topeka about 10:30. Excuse me. Actually, right now it's 8:30. Right now, this is just about the same time we were rolling out of Topeka on Thursday night. So, trying to get Josh Decker on the line. I'm hoping that he's going to pick up for us. I know he called in here just a minute ago. Trying to return a phone call to him, and then we'll put a cap on this reattempt episode of Crash Course number 8. The Blizzard Bash recap also has some news.
This is Josh Decker from Motion Industries.
Also had some news from Wood Booger Demolition Derbies. Doesn't look like Josh is going to answer. I appreciate everybody hanging in there. It was very important to me to get this out there. We had about 300 likes on our Facebook page for Crash Course when we left Thursday night around 10:30. Today, after we finished the first go-round of episode number 8 for the Crash Course. When I looked at our Facebook page, we had over 1,100. I appreciate that so much from you fans. Can't say thanks enough, and keep up that interaction. I want to make sure that we got this together for you, and so everybody who's tuning in for the first time has the opportunity to see it, see what we're about, see what we're doing, and go from there. Josh Decker will be joining us here next Monday. Brian will be back in here next Monday when we do episode number 9. We sure do appreciate everybody's support here on the Crash Course, and look forward to seeing you next week. For Sam Williams and the Mann family and all the Wood Booger Demolition Derbies here on the Crash Course, I thank you again, and we're going to see you right back here again next week.